Scientists have been accurately recording hurricane activity since the 1850s. We're not professing to know the causes of climate change, but we can see the effects of it. If climate change was a hoax, then storm activity would be fairly consistent. There should be as many record-setting storms in the 1880s as there were in the 1920s and the 1970s and the 2000s. But that doesn't seem to be the way they are spread out. If it seems there's been more hurricane activity now compared to your grandparents' time, it's because there is, and the science is difficult to dispute. We won't bother to compare damages expressed in billions of dollars. This is an unfair comparison, as there are far more expensive homes along the coastlines now than back at the turn of the century. We also won't bother comparing by number of fatalities, as that can be explained away by having much better forecasting and communication to warn people of impending hurricanes. Instead, we'll compare storm frequency, intensity, size, and even number of tornadoes spawned. Basically, only things which are meteorological in nature and are very quantifiable. When you look at the data in all of these areas, an upward trend is definitely noticeable. Here we have a chart showing every season, starting from the 1850s through to the present, which experienced more than 10 tropical storms. In case you're not seeing a pattern yet, let's show only the seasons with 15 or more storms. In the first 145 years, we've had only 9 seasons with 15 or more storms. However, we've seen it occur 16 times just in the last 25 years. Well, most of us aren't worried about tropical storms. It's hurricanes we worry about, but not the small ones. Most of our homes can withstand a Category 1 or 2. It's the Category 3, 4 and 5 hurricanes when windows and doors get smashed in, roofs go flying, and generally, massive devastation occurs. This chart shows that up until the 1920s, no decade had ever exceeded 16 major hurricanes. Since then, we've never had a decade with less than that, and in the 2000s, we saw more than double that with 36 major hurricanes in just one decade. Instead of looking at it by decade, let's look at it by most active individual seasons. During those 170 years, only 19 times have we had a season with 5 or more major hurricanes. In the 100 years leading up to 1950, we'd only seen it happen 6 times. However, we've seen it happen 9 times in just the last 25 years. Maybe instead we should compare by size of storm. In the first 140 years, no storm had ever exceeded 750 miles in diameter. In the last 30 years, we've broken that threshold 5 times, with storms ranging from 780 miles all the way to Hurricane Sandy, whose tropical storm force winds spanned almost 1,000 miles across. We all know hurricanes spawn tornadoes. Of the 10 storms in history to spawn the most tornadoes, only 1 of them happened outside of the last 25 years. 8 of the other record-breaking storms have all happened in the last 20 years. Only 18 times in history have we recorded sustained wind speed of 175 miles per hour or more. 14 of those 18 storms have all happened since 1977. And if we take away the 175 mile per hour storms and show only the storms where wind speed reached 180 miles per hour or higher, the chart looks even more ominous. Of the 8 times this phenomenon has happened, 7 of them have occurred since 1980. And we could go on and on. As you search all of the records, you notice most of them have been set recently. It doesn't matter if you're looking at earliest formations of storms, fastest intensification from a storm to a hurricane, fastest intensification from a Cat 1 to a Cat 5. It doesn't matter what the records are. The vast majority weren't set in the 1880s or the 1920s. Most of them have been set in the last 25 years. And with that in mind, we need to reconsider how we build homes in the Caribbean. Although our region seems to be an idyllic paradise, it is actually exposed to some of the harshest conditions, yet the region continues to build homes and businesses using materials that are not suitable for the climate. Wooden roofs get torn off in a hurricane. Buildings made of concrete block can crack apart during an earthquake. Fences and pergolas made of wood, even pressure treated, will eventually rot due to our cycles of wet and dry, combined with very harsh UV exposure. We need to change the way our region prepares for the inevitable. We need to build houses capable of keeping its occupants cool during extreme heat waves and dry during torrential downpours. They must be able to withstand an earthquake, but also must be easy to prepare for 180-mile-per-hour winds and the flying debris that comes with them. However, meeting all of these great demands means nothing if people can't afford them. We need to build homes which are easy for people on a modest income to afford. We need to look at the long-term costs of ownership and build using materials which minimise future maintenance and repairs. People are busy and do not want to spend what little spare time and money they have trying to keep their home in good repair. Let's look at how we propose home ownership for millions of Caribbean residents.